And at a certain point I just thought, we shouldn't make a jazz album.
We should make an album together.
We should make an album together.
Yeah.
Iain's lyrics, my music.
This town and all she is sat in my future once, when she stuck that tongue-tied kiss on me. This town's crammed full of cooks, all the wide-eyed androgyny, speaks volumes more than books can say. And this town gets in your blood, her walks and stained glass windows. Oh, how she floods my reverie. Bright lights and rented beds and cash on the barrelhead won't ease those words said in confusion. Deep thoughts.
I lived in America for 28 years, and when I decided to come back in 2000, I came back to Amsterdam because a friend of mine offered me a place to land until I knew where I was going to be. And I spent that first year in Amsterdam just doing a lot of walking around and a lot of thinking and just trying to figure out what was going on with my life and where I wanted to be. And that's what that song, that lyric reflects. It's all about those walking days in Amsterdam. And then in the chorus, I get into talking about life on the road, bright lights and rented beds, cash on the barrelhead. Won't ease those words set in confusion. If I'm going to sing a name, I really want to sing it the way it's supposed to be. I really would rather say Van Gogh, except imagine singing that. Imagine getting it in and then moving on to the next. I'm sure if you're familiar with the Dutch language, you could do that, but it just doesn't feel right to sing. I don't want to sound American and sing Van Gogh. I don't want to do it the way the English would say Van Gogh. It's a practical thing, yeah. And I wanted to have a painter that people would recognize. So, and I wanted to have a two-syllable painter because it needs to sit in two syllables. And I think Vermeer is a really good substitute, and it's much easier to sing. There was a time when I wrote songs completely on my own, but since Egbert and I developed this songwriting partnership, I try not to influence the musical side of it. I try to, or if I do influence the musical side of it, I try to do it when we're together, when we're sitting together. What I'd really like to do is just take the finished lyric and just drive over to his house and give it to him and let him sit with it and work with it, and then he can call me when he thinks he has something, and I trust him.
Technical memories, rerun matinees, etched into my Yeah, I'm deciding on the form it should have. So we have this kind of prelude, Technicolor memories and rerun matinees. I'm not sure about that yet. As you can see, Iain doesn't write just a lyric, he really already writes in a kind of song structure. So when I read through the lyric, you see immediately this is a verse, this is a chorus, this could be a bridge, this could be an interlude. More or less you see in the rhythm of the words what the flow could be. Well, the word this town, it's this town, this town, this town, this town, this town. So that's really an important two words. So when this town appears in the lyric, I really wanted to make kind of a statement there. So I had this town, or this town. So, well, those two chords just, that's the first thing I had. This town, and then the rest, more or less, this dictated the rest, more or less. And as I told earlier, sometimes some words can really dictate a certain, for me, I mean that's not universal of course, but for me it can dictate a certain chord or mood change or tempo change. Or so the word bright lights in the lyric, for me I really heard that this major chord in a different key there with some movement. They will not fade away, and but I have to talk to him about it, if it's a problem to add the word and there. And they will not, because you have this nice and they will not.
Oh, and I need to put another one in at the end.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just eye contact,
Yeah.
really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Keep it short, huh?
When Buddha craves your company, he'll write it in the sand. Now maybe that's insensitive, but on the other hand, they say that he's all-knowing, and it's such a simple plan. When Buddha dials your number,
Buddha dials your number. I don't know where it came from, but come it did, and I just began to write, and before I knew it, I had a complete lyric.
It's such a heavenly solution, and it's perfect every time. I forgot the chords there. I'm keeping my heart.
Scapel,
No.
what is scapel?
There's 5, yeah. I'm keeping my heart. What's that? Play that first chord of the bridge.
It's F minor shape.
It's that. It's a B minor shape for me.
It's scapel 5. Then we go to F minor shape.
Okay. Okay, 3, 4. I'm keeping my heart wide open while I'm letting my feelings flow. I'm keeping my thoughts in motion while I'm feeding the undertow. I've got everything a man can need. I'm good to go. But it dials your number. But it dials your number. Yeah.
After we'd recorded it, after we'd been playing it for a couple of months, we were talking about it, Egbert and I, and we were talking about what it means when Buddha dials your number, and we had completely different ideas about what it means. For me, it was about death, basically. You know, when you're ready to go, you're ready to go, and you'll know that it's time because that's when Buddha dials your number. And Egbert had the idea that it was about receiving enlightenment. That when Buddha dials your number, then that's the time when you will become wiser and become more enlightened.
Yeah. And maybe that's the same as dying. So
Yeah, maybe.
could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Middel van een bekende in New York heb ik te horen gekregen dat deze vleugel eigenlijk niet meer gebruikt werd in de Harvard Jazz Club in New York. En heb ik een bod gedaan. Er zaten 38 scheuren in de klankbodem. Hij was niet meer stembaar. Toetsen weg, hamerkoppen weg. Geprobeerd om de vleugel weer in de authentieke staat te brengen, namelijk die van 1888. De klankbodem is origineel gebleven. En dat is natuurlijk de ziel van de vleugel. Hij heeft in de Manhattan All Style Jazz Club gestaan en daarna is hij in 1982 naar de beroemde Blue Note Jazz Club gegaan. In de Blue Note is eigenlijk de meest gerenommeerde jazzclub ter wereld. Dus alles wat een klein beetje jazz speelt, Thelonious Monk, Oscar Peterson, op voorlopig Egbert Derix na, heeft daar dus gespeeld.
You know, when you put a band together, it's funny. It's a funny thing because you put a band together of musicians that haven't necessarily played together before, and when it lasts for 2, 3, 4 weeks, it's inevitable that at some point there's going to be musicians that pair off, you know, and spend their leisure time together and talking about different stuff, and the dynamics of that are very interesting.
Hi.
Good, you?
Yeah, fine, thanks. So, are you in shape?
I'm in some kind of shape. Not quite sure what it is, but...
And the music goes on.
Yep. I'm liking it better.
Ja, weet je, de brutale Jasper. Wat is het ergste wat er kan gebeuren? Wat is het ergste wat er kan gebeuren? Alright?
No call for discussion. Monk is true unto himself. Cannot be denied. Rare and bona fide. Few are granted audience.
I relate songs to working in a pop genre still. You know, when I hear a song for the first time, I relate it to what I've known all these years.
Yeah.
And the verse to that song bears no relationship.
No, it has no repeats.
That's what I was trying to say.
It's one, in Dutch we call that doorgecomponeerd. That's really composing from one point to another point without all these little sections that you keep repeating. Let's do another one.
Yeah. Close.
Yeah.
Ook zonder drums?
Monk said, your vision is important to make the band sound big. You got to dig it. Oh yeah, you dig.
There's this style called vocalise. That means that you. Kurt Elling does that a lot. Jazz singer. He writes a lyric. He transcribes a jazz solo by Ben Webster or Wayne Shorter or John Coltrane. That's mostly saxophone players, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he writes a lyric on that improvised solo.
Trapped inside his head. Sure you've heard him mentioned, so with these humble monkisms.
So it's really a craft to do that and to perform it.
Out of sight as the music goes on, Thelonious in the mood tonight. A genius is the one most like himself. The inside of a tune's the part that makes the outside sound good.
Well, Iain found this what was it? Paper.
Yeah, someone sent it to me. Yeah, it was a sheet of paper with all these things that Thelonious Monk said to his band. Some of them very eccentric, some of them very right on the money, very prophetic things. And it was a side of Monk that I wasn't aware of. I wanted to somehow incorporate it into a song so that you would get two sides of Thelonious Monk. You would get the side that the kind of public persona, the monk that people think they know, And then I wanted to put some of these lines into it so that you would get another monk. He would say things like, a genius is the one most like himself. Which sounds quite wacky when you first hear it, but I just think it's such a beautiful thing to say.
Mm-hmm. Make the notes you don't play louder than the ones you do.
Yeah.
Let some music just be imagined and always know. A genius is the one most like himself. Most like himself. A genius. Okay.
My wife, Marley, said, we were talking one day and she was saying how when she was growing up, she was encouraged by her parents to not stand out above the crowd, to try and be invisible in life rather than stepping out and be noticed. I think she said if you're born...
Een dubbeltje, dan word je nooit een kwartje.
Born a quarter, you'll never be a dollar or something. Yeah, whatever it was. Yeah, and it surprised me. Initially, it surprised me, but then I thought back to my own childhood, and mine wasn't that dissimilar from what she was talking about. And it's a strange concept to lay on a child, isn't it? To encourage them to be small rather than to step out and be large.
When Iain and I played it, this was one of the songs at the rehearsals. I only played the piano.
Yeah.
Iain sang. So I had to keep the whole song together, rhythmically, and all the changes and all. And now I had Norbert and Jasper who were playing the rhythms and the form, and I could play on top of that. So I could just enjoy hearing Iain on the headphones and just playing what I wanted to play, instead of having to state everything.
Yeah. It's a very difficult one to do as a duo, as it was a difficult one for us to work up. In the same way, it's a difficult one to do as a duo. So we don't play it live. So it's one of those songs on the album that remains a little fresher than the others.
Mm-hmm.
Comes to me in fits and starts, a fractured memory, a haze of basement clubs as dark as Hampstead Cemetery, a swirl of light, a wisp of vapor curling from the gel, the piper at the gates of dawn, man, how the mighty fell. It was
musicians, people in general just really looked up to the Floyd, and everyone looked to see what they were going to be doing next, and in turn that influenced whatever we did next. You know, we didn't necessarily copy them or anything, but if it was okay for the Floyd to do this, then it's okay for us to do that. They were actually, they were very much the centre of attention in everything else that was going on in London at that time.
The primal wine of Sid's guitar, an ear-splitting howl, a potpourri of sights and sounds, the Floyd are on the prowl. Let's turn up, shell out, get lost, turn up, shell out, get lost, turn on, tune in, drop out, turn up, shell out, get lost.
Music was really changing, and social structure was trying to change too. And that's what I tried to bring out in that lyric, and I really used the Pink Floyd as the little kernel for that.
Look, a sign, a backwards glance, suspicions of a groove, a feast of psychedelia, the Floyd are on the move, move it.
It's a song about Pink Floyd. I want to do two things with it. I want to write a medium swing tune about Pink Floyd. I really like that kind of anachronistic idea of having a song about Pink Floyd but making it really jazzy. Kind of that kind of atmosphere. But I also wanted to have the kind of weirdness, well, by lack of a better word, the kind of experimental thing of Pink Floyd. So I made
Now when that beat gets crazy and demons start to howl, lean back on all that mattered when the Floyd were on the prowl, and we turn up, shell out, get lost.
I read a book that the drummer from Pink Floyd, Nick Mason, wrote. He talks about the fact that the Floyd were very much into Timothy Leary and Timothy Leary's philosophies in the 60s. And Timothy Leary's mantra was turn on, tune in, drop out. And the Floyd put together their own little mantra, sort of a little funny mantra based on Timothy Leary's, and theirs was turn up, shell out, get lost. And I just thought it was such a great place to base that song on. It was such a great sentiment to base the song on. I don't know if everyone gets it. It just became the centerpiece for that song.
Turn on, tune in, drop out, turn up, shell out, get lost, turn up, shell out, get lost, turn up, shell out, get lost, turn on, tune in, drop out, turn up, shell out, get lost.
What are you thinking?
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah?
Maybe do one more. Is it possible to do one more?
Mm-hmm.
Can you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? One more, and I want it even more sober.
Would you try something for me as
Yeah,
well?
of course.
Would you try, with the piano, would you try making it more jazzy, less poppy?
Yeah.
Just see what happens. Even if it means, playing those block chord kind of things that maybe the way Keith Jarrett would do a ballad or something.
Yeah, it is a pop song. That's the thing,
It is a pop song. It is a pop song. I think also I was trying to move it around, and it can't be moved around.
No.
I've got to sing it metorically. Mm.
There's a hot wind blowing off the mast tonight, shaking the trailers in the caravan side. Some Johnny-come-latelys whining on the radio.
I had a caravan in Velden, just down the road, and I began to write this lyric in my caravan one Saturday evening, and it starts out, there's a hot wind blowing off the mast tonight. It's shaking the trailers in the caravan side, and that's how the whole song begins.
But he's got no idea how it feels when there's only a handful of people at the show.
So do you think overall that the cello should be a bit louder? Because that it gets more
Meaty.
in the bottom. I remember calling Iain and I said, yeah, I'm really happy with this lyric, with the lyric, and I'm really happy with what I did to it, and I think it's one of the best things I've ever written. I said, it's a bit...
I don't know if you're going to like it.
It's a bit like Jackson Browne, maybe. Maybe you think it's maybe too much singer-songwriter material, but it suited the lyric.
Now a hot wind's blowing off the mast tonight, swirling around at the traffic lights. Some disco's thumping 60 to the...
In the lyric there are a lot of references also to, what is it, to the 70s, the troubadour. So for me it had this, yeah, it dictated more or less a kind of singer-songwriter atmosphere, kind of an epic atmosphere. You have this verse, it's July 1974, there's a full house at the Troubadour. So that's it's a change of setting, it's another place, and it's a change of time. And I always like to work on that stuff in a lyric, also musically.
Apollo 9, a Mersey beat, they're all just pebbles in the road. It's autumn 1974, a full house.
So what I did, I made that verse in a more or less a minor atmosphere. And I like working with those colors.
Now expectations on the street are optimistically upbeat, and the Hollywood reporters at the show.
Dog's always ready. Right where I sing squirrel.
They were closer than two beatings
Of the same
heart. So I had the image of a heart, of one heart beating, but one heart belonging to two people.
They were closer than two beatings of the same heart. They were so in time.
So if a heart belongs to two people, I thought, then it has to beat irregular. I had all these images, and then I thought, so there has to be something constant in the music, but it has to also be irregular. So I had this idea. So this motive stays the same, but the chords move underneath it. And at a certain point there came in the lyric there is, when she told him it was over,
Yeah. There was little he could say.
There was little he could say. So I thought then there has to be something eerie, something. There's little he could say. That kind of.
Yeah, it's almost monkish, that.
Yeah. Restless Wings for me, but it's very personal for me, is the perfect hybrid of what we do. Of what we do. It's a song that's easy to grasp.
It's a universal message.
Yeah.
I think, where's Norbert? Oh, he's there. I think you should hit that first accent with me as well.
Yeah,
Down, down, down. So I love what Ton did, Ton Engels did with his guitar work on there. We asked him to create clouds of emotion with his guitar, and boy, that's exactly what he did. You can just feel these guitar clouds drifting by us throughout the song. It's just beautiful stuff that he did.
Never crossed their minds it might be over till the beat died.
I was in England and I was driving down the motorway in Yorkshire, and I saw this big long industrial building that said the Joy Mining Company on the side. And I remember thinking, I really didn't know you could dig for that stuff. But the more I thought about it, you know, the more the idea for the song came.
You still can't find it. Oh, you wanna feel the joy, but the joy won't come. And you'd love to work it out, but you've decided.
It's a song about discovery, about inner discovery, about finding happiness in your life, wherever you're going to get that from.
Get off that straight and narrow track.
This is kind of double time thing, you know. And then stating that throughout the whole.
Yeah.
Keeping that feel going all the time.
So the slow melody is sung within the fast tempo of the new arrangement.
Yeah. Kind of a double, we call it a double time feel.
I love it, love it. Gone is Gone is the only moment on that record, and I love it that it happens right there. It's the only moment on the record where there's vocal harmony. And you know, if you know my my history, you'll know that that I have a reputation for doing vocal harmony a lot of the time, almost all the time. Since Egbert and I began working together, there hasn't been any vocal harmony, and this is the first moment.
And it's on the last song.
And it's on the last song. And
in the last
section of the last song, yeah. That's all I wanted to say.
It's raining.